Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is a dev letter of Holodrive. Holodrive is a super fast-paced 2D multiplayer shooter about robots exploding each other and collecting outfits, or at least that's what the store page says. A quick synopsis, a dev letter is a game that comes out in early access that I give my feedback to the developers on, but give my first impressions of the gameplay as well for consumers who are interested in the game. But before I begin, this key was obtained from the developer for the purposes of review. That won't change my opinion of the game in the end, but you should know that because of FTC guidelines, as well as the whole morals thing, you know? Now, like I said, the game is a 2D multiplayer shooter. You can play 4v4 in certain modes such as Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, and the equivalent of a Capture the Flag mode. Now, depending on what control set you use your mouse to actually aim on the screen, and the WASD keys to move. The controller is very similar, only you use the right control stick to aim. The weapons vary from shotguns to grenade launchers, your basics in the genre, but one of the things that became immediately apparent is that there's a lack of weaponry here. Even though you do unlock weaponry as you level up with the RPG system, the fact of the matter was that I felt like the game needed a bit more, especially on launch. The problem here comes in variety. When I'm facing another shotgun enemy, when I'm facing another grenade launcher enemy with not a lot of variety to it, it starts to get old very quickly. And it doesn't help that there only seems to be a couple of maps that the game is cycling through, to the point where I was playing the same map a couple of times in a row. I will talk a little bit later on about the microtransactions of the game, aka being able to buy weapons and accessories for your robot in question. Now, there are two things that affect your movement in this game, the physics engine and your jetpack. Your jetpack has a limited propulsion to it, you can pop it, and thus you'll be able to move for a limited amount of time in the vertical direction. But the physics engine is the more interesting part here. You can run down a ramp, for example, and start the game momentum and be able to use it to jump to new heights without actually having to use your jetpack at times, which is rather important because your jetpack will be useful in terms of dodging enemy bullets. Now, the combat is rather basic here. The best game that I can think of a comparison for here is Awesomenauts, but there's no skills or anything like that. You're just basically focusing on the actual gunplay in question, and sooner or later that does get old. Now, with that said, there are little twists here in terms of the gameplay that I need to talk about. For example, there are teleporters that will take enemies and yourself across the map, and while they can be used to escape, the fact is that there's no real cooldown on them, so you can just run right after them at this point. But note this tunnel. The tunnels in this game are a little bit strange, to say the least. When you're in a tunnel, the enemy can't see you, and you see those orange arrows that were on my character? That's where the enemies are. You do have a radar. However, if you're in a tunnel, that's not the case. You can't be seen. I like this change, and yet I don't, as I get killed by Hentai Lord here. I never thought I would be saying the word hentai in one of my videos, but there you go. Now, in this map, I do like the tunnel system. The fact is that they're short and sweet, and you really don't have a space where you can feel safe in terms of camping. Now, on other maps, on the other hand, there are some maps that the tunnel system in question, it's very easy to exploit in terms of like setting up a barrier, having one or two people look at both sides of it, and lo and behold, you've got it locked down. Part of the problem there is the short time to die. It takes 2 shotgun shells, for example, to take out an enemy, and the fact is, if somebody gets the jump on you, you're probably dead, because the fact is that you'll turn around and then all of a sudden the second shotgun shell will be there. There is a little bit of a problem with the netcode, at least in my experience. Now, I did face people with Mac connections. It actually says Matt in their connection status, but the fact was there were times where the enemy was looking the other way, and I somehow got shot by them, and I was confused at what was going on. Now, right there is an example of it. The fact is that he was actually aiming down, and he was able to shoot me at that point, but if you look at his character model at that very point, it was looking to the left, almost like the game hadn't caught up in moving the character in question. So it is a little bit of a problem in terms of being able to react to the positioning of your enemy, but I can't necessarily say that is going to be a huge problem for people. Now, luckily, the game does actually run well. The fact is the animation is crisp, it's clean, and it's 60 FPS throughout my experience, with very, very few frame drops here and there. And I don't even know if those were necessarily frame drops, and if that wasn't the netcode in question. Now, I do want to talk about that screen that just showed up there. You do get connections of okay, and but one of the things that the developers really need to add very quickly is some criteria for joining a game. The fact is that maybe I don't want to connect with people with connections. Give me that option right away. The fact that it's not there is a little bit concerning because I may be put into a game that's going to give me a subpar experience. I do like the results screen after the match because it's able to give you the information that you need and you're actually able to do something in terms of killing the enemy if you won or running for your life if you lost. And so you see here I came in third. I joined this game sort of mid-game at this point, so, you know, I did all right. And the fact is that I was able to get some experience and be able to level up. As you level up, you'll be able to unlock more loadout slots and be able to unlock new weaponry and things like that. You'll also get a tiny bit of a bit bonus, but the fact is that the amount of bits it has given you for leveling up feels very small. Again, the bits will be the equivalent of the microtransactions in question. Now, at the end of the match, you get to vote on what to play next, and the thing is that it is nice that you're able to vote, but I also wanted to see that option in the actual play menu so I can actually choose. Maybe I don't want to play collectors, as I'm about to show you in a little bit here. Now, the footage I'm showing you now is the Team Collectors mode, but I'll get into exactly what that means in a little bit. I want to ask you guys a question. What color team am I on? If you said blue, you're wrong. I'm on orange. This caused major confusion for me. The fact is that my helmet's blue. I thought I was blue, and thus it would change to orange if I was on orange. It didn't help that the enemy health bars are red, therefore I thought, okay, red, orange, that makes perfect sense. And our health was a bluish sort of color, the green right there. So I naturally thought we were blue. We're not. Visual cues like that are rather important in games like this. The fact is, you don't have a lot of time to react, and you'll react to the first thing you see. The fact is, my helmet was blue, that's how I reacted. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm shooting this blue orb thing over and over again, and I was too. The thing is that this collector's mode was something that I jumped into, and the game didn't give a tutorial on it, so I had no idea what I was doing. I eventually figured out that when you kill the enemy team, you got those sort of glowing things about you, and then I ran back to our base and was able to collect it at that point. Okay, collectors. But a lot of the enemy team and my teammate wasn't able to figure that out until very, very late in the game. I was lucky I was able to figure it out very early, and thus I scored a lot of points compared to everyone else. That kind of tutorial portion or a little description of what to do in terms of the game is rather important. Look at this guy here. He doesn't know what he's doing at this point. And then he's able to figure out, wait a minute, he was able to score some points. How did he do that? Maybe I need to follow him. Now, the game is rather fun when you get the 3v3, 4v4 scenarios. I think the maps are a little bit too big for the 1v1, 2v2 scenarios. 2v2 may be able to stretch it a little bit, but the game is at its best when it's 3v3, 4v4. Now, from a basic free-to-play game standpoint, the game's good in terms of its action and what it's able to deliver. However, I am a little concerned with the microtransactions here. The fact is that you are able to get cosmetics like the helmet in question, but I'm a little bit more concerned with the weaponry. You do get things like a Phantom Zuka, for example, and I haven't seen anybody in-game with it, so I don't know how powerful it is. There's things like bows and arrows. Again, it's a little bit concerning when you do have weaponry like that is sort of locked off, and I do wonder if that's going to hurt the balance of the game in the long run. Again, I have nothing to base that off of, because right now I haven't run into anybody with a different weapon in question. Which sort of transitions into this sort of weird system that this game is going with. Now, there are keys that are going to be given out for a sort of stagnated release in question, although you do have an early access pack that you can buy, and that will get you some unique items in question, but they won't necessarily give these keys out right away. I will put a link in the description below of where you can sign up. And I actually like the fact that they're going with this stagnated release. Now, a lot of you may be saying, well, wait a minute, why don't you want more people to play? Well, it's not about that. It's more about how the servers are going to react with all these people in question, especially for a free-to-play game. You don't want to overdo it with the servers that you have to buy, especially for a small indie developer. The fact is that if you keep the cost down to begin with and try to figure out exactly how much you'll need and what kind of server power that you'll need, that's a very good thing for the indie developer and for the player base that is able to play as well. Then you don't have people waiting, you don't have people wondering exactly what's going on. I think this is a good move on the devs' part, and I want to see more devs do this.
Rampage!
Now, there's enough here at the base game level in the action genre that I think for a free-to-play game, it's worth a try if you want a game like this. The fact is, the action is quick, and while I do want to see more from the developers in terms of weaponry and power-ups and things like that, the fact is that there is a good base here, and you should try it to see if you like it. And if you were wondering what was happening in that clip, this is what happens when you don't replace the rechargeable battery in your G700 Logitech mouse. The final advice I would give the developers in terms of the economical system in your game, how you guys are going to make money, is that while you offer this free pack that could have a cosmetic or a weapon in it, I would give a guaranteed weapon to everyone, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Now, considering I haven't gotten one of these weapons, I don't necessarily know if it's going to be just only cosmetic or they have real differences. However, part of the thing is that if you want people to be interested in the weapons, they've got to see it in action. You want to play a little bit off the envy factor there. If you offer a free weapon and this person has a weapon that is so interesting that you keep on getting killed by over and over again, it may make them want to purchase it. Now, a lot of people are sitting here going, wait, Dragnix, you're pro-consumer. I am pro-consumer, and I think that giving a free weapon out, which is a benefit for the consumer in question rather than have them pay blindly for it, is a good idea for both sides. Now, do I necessarily think that, pay-to-win weapons are a good thing? Not at all. But it is a choice for the developer in question, and they have to make it. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you got an idea of what Holodrive has to offer, and you will see a little bit more content later in the week. I will probably be doing a stream of Force Showdown, as well as Slain later in the week as well. Alright, I will see you all later. Thanks for watching. Like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe if you want more content like this. In the description below, you'll find the Steam review accompanying this vid, along with social media that you can follow me on, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook groups. And if you want to support the channel, click that Patreon on the left of the screen. And remember, keep on gaming.